Oh yeah, nah, this is Rouseys Wrexham Round-Up. She'll be right, mate. G'day and welcome to Rouseys Wrexham Round-Up for another week. We are back. I've taken 2 weeks off, and I needed some time off. It's a long season, and a few guests fell through, so I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll take 2 weeks off, have a bit of a break. But in that time, I decided to change course a little bit. So, guys, a bit of an announcement here for you today. We have joining me as my new co-host to the show. I would like you all to welcome Cryptic Construct, aka or Simon, but we will call him Cryptic. Let's go for it. Cryptic, welcome to Rouseys Wrexham Roundup. My new co-host. How are you, mate?
Good, Rousey. G'day, mate. How are you? How are they hanging out the west?
It's actually getting a bit on the chilly side. Just
Oh,
a little bit on the chilly side, which is a bit
by
different
that you
from what.
mean below 25?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had -3 down here, down in my parts down under the other day, and oh, it was a bit chilly. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that
We,
that's the type of cold where your balls just go right up into your belly.
oh.
That's not the type of weather you want to be taking your pants off to a lady.
No, that's good shrinkage weather, that stuff too, isn't it?
Oh,
No,
gee.
I've been well though. I've been well. It's the off season, so I'm just watching players going out, and hopefully some coming in.
Oh, it's been yeah. We can have a good discussion about that. I've actually guess what, Simon? I've got a guest for us today.
Oh,
Got a
and
guest.
who
So
could that be?
yeah, we're gonna bring him in, and we're gonna put you to the test. So the audience really enjoyed the episode that you and I were on. We had a good backwards and forwards. It was a good episode. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a chat with this dude and say, come on to the show, be my co-host. And here you are, taking up the mantle. That's a big responsibility, dude.
And and half the screen,
And
the
half the
mantle
screen.
and half the screen,
Hey,
the
we're
mantelpiece and
working on
half
that.
the screen.
We're working on that. It'll be fine.
But there's a big Rousey behind me. There's a big Rousey head up here behind me, watching over it, making sure I keep myself on the straight and narrow.
Mate, I'm the worst person to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, your straight and narrow went that way. It's like, oh, where'd it go? It's go that way somewhere.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get Tomi Caws in, hey? Tomi Caws, we will know him from his YouTube series with Men and Blazers. Quite well known Wrexham person.
Oh,
And just an all round great bloke. I have the honor of calling this guy a personal friend. We talk a fair bit, and he's agreed to come on to the show. So, you know what? Let's get him on. Let's have some fun. Let's do it. All right, guys. Right after this, we're going to welcome Tomi Caws in. So, um, let's do it. See you after this. Oh yeah, nah, this is Rouseys Wrexham Round-Up. She'll be right, mate. Well, I would like to welcome to the show. This is going to be a good one for my friend Cryptic Construct here to get his teeth into. And we've had this guy on the show before, when it was the Two Beards of Wrexham podcast with me and Adrian. But now it's Rousey's Wrexham Roundup, and I'm so proud to bring this guy on. He's a personal friend. I love this guy to bits. I love the stuff he puts out. Tomi Caws. Welcome aboard, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic, mate. Thank you for having me back. Most people don't have me back a second time.
Oh, mate, if I could, I'd give you an open invite every single time. You're top bloke. So, how's things
No,
been?
thank
How
you
have
for
you
that welcome,
seen?
mate. It's very kind of you.
How have you seen things go this season, mate? Has it sunk in yet that we are a championship side?
No, it hasn't at all, mate. I've got to be honest. I think at the start of the season, um, I'd have took like top 10. That's probably the old muscle memory with supporting Wrexham, just expecting the worst and things like that. But no, yeah, I was over the moon, mate. I think just before the first game against Wickham, I was looking and going, oh, if we finish top half, I'll be over the moon. And then all of a sudden we go 3-0 up, and then we're like, we're going to win the FA Cup. We're going to win everything. We're going to go up. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So yeah, it changed very quickly. But yeah, in terms of what a brilliant season, mate. I just didn't expect it at the start. It was unbelievable.
I don't think any of us did. I mean, we were. I remember back at the start of the season, we predicted that that they were going to go up in second position, which was a massive fluke. Because I think even deep down, even I thought that maybe that they would be maybe playoffs. What about you,
Yeah.
Cryptic? Where did you see this one?
Yeah, inside of playoffs, I thought would have been a good result. So to be where they finished, just superb. And obviously, the expectations changed as the season went on, and they showed, hey, we can do this, we can do this. And so it went from playoffs to we need to get automatic. So a great season, obviously some lowlights in it, but given the result, you can't complain. Got to be more than happy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think so. And I think one thing that kind of really made this like super a massive, massive thing was watching. I don't know if you, Tommy, if you watched the episode of Welcome to Wrexham yet. So the Disney FC latest episode. It actually it kind of puts it into perspective, and I was thinking about this. I'm like, geez, we lost our number one goalkeeper, our number two goalkeeper, a lead striker, and a prominent midfielder, all within the span of a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That is enough to derail any team, and yet somehow we got through and got that automatic spot. I mean, what side does this but Wrexham? I mean, it's that fighting spirit. It's the reason why I've really like supporting this team is because they just don't give up no matter what the odds. And being in the stadium watching that happen, and this is what I want to sort of touch base on, Tommy, is seeing your Men in Blazers video from the promotion special. It was almost as if like it's hard to explain. Like it's like watching you guys. You saw at what happened beforehand. You knew that the promotion push was on. Was there a feeling within the stadium that this was actually going to happen? That it was a foregone conclusion at that stage?
Yeah, it was very different to the year before, to be honest, mate. I think the year before we weren't expecting it to happen on that day. Obviously, the likelihood was always much stronger this year that it was going to happen. And obviously, watching the game in the pub, the Wickham game in the pub beforehand as well, that got everyone going. And there was just this unbelievable feeling going into the racecourse that it's going to happen today. Everyone around, I was looking around, everyone was smiling. And, usually you might expect people, a few nerves and stuff like that. It genuinely didn't really feel like that. Well, that was my sort of the way I saw it anyway. And it was just the atmosphere from the get-go. And then we started like a house on fire, didn't we? I mean, Charlton were the form team in the league at that point. And yeah, we just absolutely destroyed them on the day. And as soon as that first goal went in, everyone was just like, we thought it was going to happen. It's definitely happening now. But you start going back to what you were saying there, mate, about the, in terms of, start the season, having trouble with the goalkeeper Mullin being injured, etc., etc. Parky, you got to give Parky massive credit for what he's done. He's cultivated the system where you've got, if someone gets injured, you've got a like-for-like replacement sitting there waiting, ready to go. Which, obviously the money helps, but he's been very intelligent with how he's signed as well. And, he still gets a bit of stick. And, there was a period in January where I gave, not gave him stick, but I was a little bit critical of Parky because results started to go a little bit downhill. But do you know what? I think the man's God, as far as I'm concerned. He's what he's done has been unbelievable. I still to this day, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
No.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree with that one. And I think going forward to the championship as well, people should really not underestimate this team. They really shouldn't. I mean, we all know it's going to be tough. It's going to be brutal. The championship is a whole nother level. It's just insane how tough it is with especially teams coming down from the Premier League with parachute payments and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. It's going to be very, very tough. But what I think people focus a lot on is how much they're going to spend, who they're bringing in, all that sort of stuff. But they don't factor in team cohesiveness and the team fight, the togetherness. Like this is one of the best, and we've heard plenty of players say it. Um, one of the best change rooms in the whole entire of the
Yeah.
EFL. So I think a lot of people sort of don't factor that in with Wrexham, and which is why I think going
Yeah.
for in the championship next year, we could surprise a few people. I don't really want to say where we're going to end up, but it's possible this team could push on again. Why not? Why not?
There's only 4 teams with parachute payments next year. So there are chances, and then Birmingham have got a shed load of money as well. So the championship's not as tough next year as it could be, or next season, I should say, as it could be. So I'm hopeful again for, like Tommy, a top 10. If you can get a top 10 and with inside the playoffs, that'd just be magnificent.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I think you're right mentioning Birmingham there. I think Birmingham have got a really good chance of giving it a good push for at least the playoffs. I think. With me, I just can't help it. It's just the old Wrexham mentality. I'm just like, if we finish one place above relegation, I'll be over the moon with that. But yeah, I think you're right though. I think maybe that's unnecessary pessimism from me, to be honest. I think maybe we can do a little bit better. Certainly, we're going to spend money this summer. I think we're going to spend money on, well, we're definitely going to spend money on a scale this club's never, ever seen before. But yeah, I think it's tricky because I think last summer, I think it was a case of, Perky, who's Perky? Parky, he got it absolutely bang on. He got it. He's just added to the squad. He knew he needed to build a really strong squad whereby if we get injuries or suspensions, it's a like for like I said before. This summer, I think it's a little bit different. I think we need a bit of surgery to the first team. I look at certain. I don't want to dig out certain individuals, but there's probably a couple of first team regulars who just won't really be quite at the level required in the championship. So I think it's a bit different this summer. We have to sign players that can go straight into the first team rather than squad players. I think.
Yeah. First team players are going to become squad players.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like to see Jack Marriott make a bit of a comeback because I think he was a bit hard done by with his leg break. I mean, I saw that on the Welcome to Wrexham episode. You saw that leg snap, dude. Oh, what
I'm
that
surprised
dude.
I had footage. I'm surprised that because that footage hadn't come out until then. I hadn't seen that anywhere. So good on him for being able to keep that secret and showing that on the episode. That was a good get.
Made me wince.
Oh,
Yeah, it's always a great one as well. He was playing so well, wasn't he? And Marriott's a guy who he burst on the scene when he was a young kid at Derby County, so he knows the level, he knows the championship, and then he had a really rough few years. So we've sort of rejuvenated his career a little bit. So I'd like to think he'd be raring to go and try and prove that he can still do it at the level that he was a few years ago.
Yeah, I think so. And we might even see the likes of J-Rod go back into like a Stephen Fletcher role.
Fletcher.
Speaking of Fletch, ouch. Oh,
Oh,
no.
I was hoping. I thought maybe one more year of 20-minute Fletcher, but no, I can.
Nearly.
I can. Yeah.
It was when I heard the news that Fletcher had gone, I was the same as you two guys. I was absolutely devastated, to be honest.
I nearly
I absolutely
cried.
loved Fletcher.
I nearly cried.
Yeah, I was nearly there with you, mate. To be fair, I was absolutely gutted. But when Parky I read some of the other day. I'm not sure who the interview was with, but when he gives his reasoning, it actually does make sense. We've still got 28 players, I think, on the books, and there's a squad of 25 allowed in the Championship. Can we afford to, have a player that is, let's be honest, he can't start games anymore, especially at Championship level. Can we afford to have a squad place for someone that just comes on for 20 minutes? Don't get me wrong. If it was up to me, I'd have kept him all day long. I absolutely love the guy, and I still think he'd be good for that at that level. But what Parky said made sense to me.
Yeah. I do 100% agree with that take as well, but it still didn't take the sting out of it, because far out, man. I was just. I remember when the news dropped, I actually woke up in the morning and I looked over at my phone and I saw the notification from the club, and I was just like, oh, the retained list is here, and opened it up and then saw that there was a post as well from Stephen Fletcher on Instagram, and I read through it. I'm just like, you're fucking shitting me. No way. No way. And I remember I walked out, I'm just like, this is like one of my favorite players. This is the Scottish Viking Jesus. And he saved us so many times in this game.
He's on my phone. He's still on my phone. Especially if he had retired, it may have been different. But he hasn't, he's said, no, I still want to play on. So it's heart-wrenching, but they've got ambition.
Yeah.
I think if they do have ambition.
With Fletch as well.
What's that?
I think Fletch is one of those sort of players. Like he, like when players leave Wrexham, I don't tend to take that much notice. I might have a quick look every now and then how they're getting on. It's like I'm invested in Stephen Fletcher now so much. I'd probably stop supporting Wrexham and go support whoever he plays for next to him. No, I'm only joking. But I am genuinely interested to see how he gets on, where he goes next, because he was such an iconic figure. He was only at the club 2 years, but he was such an iconic figure coming off the bench. And one thing that I always it'll stay with me is I've never ever heard a roar for a substitute like the roar when he enters the field. Everyone just absolutely thought, and almost, I think at times I used to sort of joke, well, half jokingly, maybe a bit of seriousness, and say Parky's tactics are just get to 70 minutes at 0-0 and then we'll bring Fletch on and win the game. And it's like that's almost what it was every single week.
That's exactly what it was, because he got us 15 points. He got us promoted. That without Fletcher, there is no promotion. But then at the other end of the table, without Bodvarsson and Jones, Burton are going down. So are we helping to seed a better class of club around us by passing on these players that we've actually improved and reinvigorated?
No, we're just passing on all our players
bonkers.
to Burton, dude.
Yeah, but we're not. Hopefully, Fletcher won't go to Burton. I hope. We'll find out.
I was going to say, Wrexham have got so massive now. We can influence results that don't even involve us. That's how big we are these days.
But we're now seeing our ex-players, people like Tozer, go to Forest Green and things, and because they've been at Wrexham, I think that they obviously have passed the Parky no plonker test, and so other clubs are seeing them as okay, these guys have value, and they're not going to destroy our dressing room, and they're going to be able to bring some of that knowledge and whatnot gained from Wrexham and help infuse that into our club. So Parky's saving the league.
Wonder how he's going to do in the Championship, though. That's a big question.
This is the big question. This is the big question, lads, isn't it? I think he's managed at that level before. He's done a good job at that level before. Yeah. It's been a few years now. I think the league's a lot tougher than it was last time he managed in the Championship. But I feel like this is the third summer in a row where we're sort of doubting Parky a little bit, and it's like he keeps proving us wrong. The one thing I would say was, and it's really, really harsh, because I think I would like to think whenever Parky does leave us, it won't get bitter. I know football fans are really fickle. 2 bad results in a row, and then he goes from a hero to zero. That's just football. It's just the way it is, and it's not right. It's not fair. But what
Case
I'd
in
say
point,
is,
Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah.
there you go.
Aussie,
100%. Well,
Aussie Ange to you.
Aussie Ange, yeah, Aussie Ange. Celtic are my second team, so I've sort of like been banging the drum for Ange and saying he's a brilliant manager. He came into an awful Celtic side. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on that too much, but I was banging the drum, and it's a good point though. It is a good point. Like that's how quickly things can change. Basically, Spurs fans, that they wanted him out, and then one game later, he's a hero. It's literally the case in point. But what I would say is, the higher we've gone with Wrexham, the more the football at times has become a little bit dull. And I always feel like when the football sort of, is a little bit boring at times, I don't think I'm being too harsh in saying that. Some games, Wigan away, it's one of the worst games of football. If you try to convince someone football is a sport worth watching, don't show them that game because they'll never watch another game in their lives. But my point being, I think you can get away with maybe having the odd bad result if you're playing attractive football. Fans are going to turn a little bit quicker if we're playing bad football and we're losing games as well. But I hope that doesn't happen. Parky's a legend, and I hope he goes on his terms when he does.
I think he will. I think he'll do pretty well because he has a completely different setup this time around. And I know Parky to be a really, really good tactician. I know people comment a lot about his 3-5-2 style of play, but we see him switch things up. We see him change things around all the time. And I think, when he was with the likes of Bolton and Sunderland and stuff in the Championship, and I know he saw Bolton get relegated out of the Championship, but that was really due to something really, really that was out of his control. So, and he wasn't really given the reins to be a proper gaffer. Whereas now it's completely, he's the man. He makes the decisions, he calls the shots. The owners let him do this thing. And I think that alone is we'll get to see what Parky's true talent is in the Championship. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Sheffield United back in the Championship as well, so we get to stick it to them twice.
We got to do that, don't we?
So that's going to be a good one. Watching them, watching that game.
What are you going to do without the Virtue Trophy? Now, what are we going to have Tuesdays off for a few weeks, aren't we? Because no trophy for us anymore.
Yeah, I didn't attend any of the trophy games last year. Do you know? And I sort of got quite annoyed with myself at one point. I found myself saying things I never thought I'd say before, like I can't be asked. It's only the trophy. And I was thinking, I spent 15 years on league praying for a trophy game back in the league. So yeah, I got a little bit spoiled, unfortunately. But no, going back to the Sheffield United thing. I was quite happy. It's bittersweet, really. I'd have loved to been a fantastic game to go on, a massive ground, nearly 50,000. That would have been something special. But like I say, with the photo thing and all that, and all the Billy Sharp nonsense, it'd be so nice to go there and beat them, wouldn't it?
Oh yes, yeah, it would
and
be.
not in a cup either, in a league.
Yeah, we're on the same level as them.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the same level as them now. We're not a National League side coming up against them, being the smaller side, but we are a Championship side taking on another Championship side. So we're on the same level.
Speaking of Championship sides and non-Championship sides, how big is it that Cardiff are not there and Swansea will be? That's
big. How
big in Wales is that? Or is it the other way around? How big in Wrexham and Wales is that?
Yeah, no, that was it's sort of people have different opinions on it. I was gutted to see them go down. I would have loved, like back in the days. I was brought up on Wrexham, Cardiff, and Swansea playing each other in the league every year in the 90s. That's pretty much what used to happen. And Wrexham were almost always the top dogs as well. A lot has changed since then. Those two clubs are different clubs to what they were in the 90s as well. But oh no, it would have been something special to have all three. But yeah, it's those games, and it's I know in Australian terms, 170 miles is nothing, but in the UK, it is a bit of a strange one to have a derby against someone 170 miles away, like with that sort of passion involved. But the Welsh derbies are always special occasions, and yeah, they bring out a brilliant atmosphere as well. So that's going to be special. But no, my personal opinion, I was gutted to see Cardiff go down, and obviously the national team Wales play it in Cardiff City Stadium. So it'd have been a bit of a strange one to go in the away end there. I'm used to going in the home end every game there, but yeah, that's not going to happen because well, Cardiff are rubbish, quite frankly. So they've let the side down there, haven't they?
Oh, if we're above Swansea next year, we can actually legitimately got a case to say we are the best Welsh football team. So,
Yeah.
it's an exciting thing.
In the 90s, the chant was always, yeah, there's only one team in Wales. We always used to chant that in the 90s. And, I think we'll probably hear that a few times next season now as well. So, yeah, it'd be nice to finish back above them. I remember being gutted when Newport finished above us a few years ago. And, Newport beat us in the final, of course, in 2013. And, that was gutting to go down to being fourth best when a few years before we were the best. So, yeah, it is quite a big number one in Wales again. That would be massive for us.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Bring it on. Bring it on. I want to see it. I want to see it because, I mean, well, let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of history in the championship and a lot of big teams. So for us to come out and actually make a big splash and announcement and say we're fucking here and we're not going anywhere, come to us and we're going to cause you problems, all that sort of stuff. It's just everything that Wrexham stands for. I just think, yeah, we got this. We're going to be doing all right. So, hey, speaking of which, you get to cover this on on Men in Blazers. I mean, you got to be pinching yourself, right?
Do you get a blazer? Is there like a Men in Blazer that you now have? Now
He's
that
wearing
you're
it.
a Men in Blazer.
He's wearing it.
Yeah, this is the closest thing you'll ever see to a blazer on me. I'm a working class gentleman, so yeah, it's not something. And I'm not much of a golfer, lads, either. So yeah, you won't see me wearing an actual blazer, unfortunately. But yeah, do you know what? I don't even know where the names really come from there. I remember asking Rog for the answer to it, and I remember thinking after, yeah, I'm still none the wiser. So yeah, maybe it's an American thing that doesn't really translate to these shows,
Is it sportscasters often wear them on the telly? They're trying to look. Ours will wear a tie and whatnot to make them look smarter. All the sports broadcasters and whatnot. Whereas the blazer, mate, the cricket ones like Richie Benno used to be out in the blazer, didn't he?
Do you know what? It's so funny you mentioned it because when you were talking about sportscasters wearing a blazer, the first guy was Richie Benno. That's what I was thinking of back in the day, But yeah, do you know what? I think that's what he said. It was something like that. But I just remember whatever the explanation was. Two things. I was, I go, yeah, that didn't really explain. And number two, yeah, that was a little bit less exciting than I was hoping for. So yeah, that's why I can't even remember. But no, listen, next year, covering it for Men in Blazers. We haven't actually had the green light just yet. There's a lot of things that we're pretty sure we're going again. I mean, certainly between from and Men in Blazers, we want to do it. A lot of it comes down to sponsorship and stuff like that, though. It's a big outlay in terms of cost and stuff. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But we think we're pretty sure we're going to be going to these massive grounds in the Championship, following it, and I think it will be like you said there. I think it will be a pinch yourself moment, really. A few years ago when we first started with Men in Blazers, we were going to places like Salford and sort of going, let's find an interesting angle on Salford away. You know what I mean? It's pretty grim at times, but yeah, we'll have no trouble, pumping up the volume this year.
Oh, yeah. Who are you looking forward to most to going to see? I know everyone asks this question. but fuck it. We may as well just join the rest of everyone else asking this question. Who are you looking at? Who are you looking forward to going to see as an away day next season?
I was looking, and to me, there's genuinely no bad ones. It's like, when you looking at League One last year, you were thinking there's 8 or 9 that, listen, if it's on a Tuesday night, you might go, "Oh, I don't know." I mean, I managed to get to most last year. But, for example, last year you had like Stevenage on a Tuesday night, which I did go to, and that was just grim. We lost the game. That felt like being back in non-league, to be honest. But it's not going to feel like that at all at any of the games this year. For me, though, the two big ones, funnily enough, the one big one I did want really was Sunderland, and that's not going to happen now. But the flip side of that is one of the two I would go for would be Sheffield United, purely because of the history we've had with them. I think there's going to be an edge to that game. That'll be a really good one. I got to say Swansea as well for the Welsh angle. 100%, yeah. But there's some great ones as well. I mean, Norwich is a bit of a trek, but I think Norwich will be a good away day. And there's teams that we've just. I'm pretty sure Leeds are the only professional club we've never played in a competitive game. But there's probably 9 or 10 clubs that most Wrexham fans would never have seen us play them. So it's quite rare to play league games against someone you haven't seen them against before. I don't think that happened at all last year. So this year that's going to be really special. Somewhere like Ipswich as well, and Southampton. These are massive clubs, and it's literally just over 2 years ago we were on that bank holiday Monday, which was a disaster. But yeah, look at us now. Look where we are now. It's literally two and a bit years. Crazy.
Well,
So
speaking
who is
of
the
which,
worst?
there's already
who's the worst of them? Name the worst. Which one
go.
don't you want to go to? We've had the best. Who are the worst?
Yeah, well, honestly, absolute cop out. But there isn't one. There isn't one that I sort of think. The one that thankfully they went down. I didn't want to go to Luton because I've been there 3 times before and we've lost all 3 times. And lads, I don't know if you've been to Luton. Just don't bother. It's the biggest shithole you've ever seen in your life. The only thing I'd say, I mean, they've gone anyway, so it's irrelevant talking about them. But the only thing I'd say that the away end, you have to go through people's gas to get into the away end. It's absolutely incredible. I think it's hilarious they were in the Premier League where people are like doing their gardening and going, off to a Premier League game, are you lads? You know what I mean? It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, they've gone. I don't know what sticks out for you. What interested to hear your views. I'm there's not one bad one next year. I don't think for me.
No, as you say, without having played most of them for 30 odd years, everyone's going to be a big trip. Are any of them like nasty to get to? Southampton's going to be a bit of a trip, isn't it?
Millwall.
Yeah, I think Southampton's. Yeah, Millwall. Yeah, when we filmed for Charlton away, we went past Millwall's ground, and I was looking down all the alleyways. And I was thinking about the amount of people who have had their head pummeled by some fucking big Cockney geezer like down there. I was thinking it looks pretty grim round here. No, but in terms of getting to, I think Southampton's the tricky one from Wrexham. Norwich is probably the trickiest one, I would say. But I'm well aware I'm talking to 2 Australians where your big cities are like 500 miles apart, aren't they? So it's a bit different
it's like
here.
just down the road.
Having to go 100 miles here.
It's just down the road. It's like you're talking about 200, 300 mile away. That's just down the road for us.
But of course, Rouseys in Perth, the most isolated capital city in the world. He's 4,000 miles.
Speaking of which, Leicester City, one of the teams, they could be starting off the season with negative 15 points. That's going to shake things up a little bit. What are your thoughts on that, Tommy?
Sorry, I've that's completely passed me by. Who's that?
Leicester City. They've copped some bans for not filing their books in time and having dodgy books or something or other, and they're going to cop some sort of penalty. And the talk is 15 points.
Wow. To be honest, lads, that's completely passed me by. I've had a lot of stuff going on in this last week, so I'm a bit off the pace. But no, that would be great. But the only thing I'd say with that, I think Leicester are probably 15. But I think Leicester are going to be one of the top sides this year anyway. So maybe that won't affect us, but maybe it will. You don't know. But I'd prefer it to have been sides to get potential 15, to be honest. But beggars can't be
they're one of the
choosers.
teams dropping down from the Premier. So would that affect though the confidence of the management of their ability to be able to play out the year and make it back up? So would they're going to have to lose some players you would have thought back up to the Premiership? I can see them having a struggle, and having a bit of a mental collapse and hopefully falling down and letting us get above them.
Yeah. Do you know what? 100%. I mean, if you're a professional footballer, let's be honest about it. Majority of footballers, maybe they will look at where the club is going, what direction. But I mean, money's a big factor. And Leicester will still be able to pay big money by Championship terms. But you are right. Trajectory is absolutely everything in football. We're on a positive one. Leicester on a negative one, and you're absolutely right. And another thing as well, the fans. Leicester lose 1 or 2 games early doors. Let's say 15-point deduction. The fans are going to turn very, very, very quickly. So yeah, who knows? Maybe it could be a tough one for them. I would imagine they'd have enough in their squad already to be okay. But again, you just don't know. Do a couple of bad results early doors? Maybe they will be down the bottom.
Could be, isn't it? I know I'm paying close attention to this. I mean, they haven't been officially given the 15-point sanction yet, but it does kind of feel like that would shake up the Championship a little bit when a big team like that coming down with the parachute payments, yes, but whether they're going to cop a hit for that as well. But 15 points in the Championship, losing that is that's brutal. Yeah. That's going to be a tough one to make back up. And
can I just say? Sorry, I was just going to say. Sorry to jump in. I was just going to say. It feels like every day since the takeover, a few years ago, there's something like that happens that makes you go, "What the hell is going on at this football club? It's unbelievable." That's the latest one now. The Premier League champions from 10 years ago. We're talking about finishing above them in the league. Like, what the hell are we going on about? This is ridiculous. It just gets even more surreal every single day. But yeah, could you imagine that? They won the league 10 years ago and, we're talking about potentially finishing above them this year.
And you're talking about that to 2 Australians just before the Australian tour. Who would have thought?
You coming down under, Tommy?
Well, this is the reason I've come on, lads. I wanted to ask you for a plane ticket and a place to stay, if that's all right. But no.
I can certainly put you up. You come to Melbourne, we can certainly put you up. So you don't want to start Rouseys. It's a bit of a hike.
Hold you to that, mate.
Yeah, no. If you come to Melbourne, I can definitely put you up. I'm going to be there I've got family back there. I'm from Melbourne, but now in Tas. But my sister lives there, big house. She said, yeah. If you need someone to put up, and she's a big Wrexham fan.
This is the thing. I was going to ask you off the air, but if I ask on the air, I've got a few hundred, people have seen you say that now.
Well, for me, I don't.
I'd love to go.
I don't think I'm going to make it across. It's a little bit tight money wise. I think for me at this stage, I'm actually coming to Wrexham in November. I'm going to be staying at the Winstay Arms, which I'm looking forward to. But because of that, and because that's a lot of money, because the exchange rate is total arse, I've got to prioritize. So that's already been booked on the plan.
I don't think there's an exchange rate between Western Australia and Victoria. I think you'll be okay on that. I think your money's still good on the eastern side of the country. I'll have to double check, but you should be good. You should be okay.
But the cost to go from Perth to Sydney is a lot of money.
I was going to say Perth Perth's probably closer to Wrexham than it is to Melbourne, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's an expensive, well, reasonably expensive flight, and because of the costs and stuff involved, I've got to make the decision that, look, I
Yeah.
would love to see Wrexham in Down Under. I think it would be an absolute dream, but hey, I'm going to be seeing them in November in Wrexham,
In
so
Rex. Yeah. In a proper match, not against Melbourne Victory and Sydney
Oh,
United
dude. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's an interesting pick. Like to pick an A-League side. Um,
Oh, they're going to
yeah,
hammer them. They're going to hammer them. It's off our off season too, I think, but they're going to just hammer them,
they're
aren't they?
gonna
I
get
would have thought.
destroyed. Like
hmm
the
It's
A-League
hard
can't
it's
hold a
hard to
candle.
gauge, isn't it? It's hard to gauge the sort of standard because it's quite rare for UK teams. I know a lot of UK teams play friendlies in Australia, but it is hard to gauge the difference in standard. And I noticed a lot of there's a few ex-professional players from the UK that play in the A League, isn't there?
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
have
there
thought we
is.
were League Two, League One. Yeah.
Mm.
I wouldn't have thought we were championship league, and that's given how it's meant to be what the seventh or eighth best league in Europe. There's no way the A League's anywhere near that. So,
No, not a chance.
mm.
Not a chance. Like, look, Australia does produce some good players, but
Mhm.
um, the the actual A League itself. So you're looking at playing Melbourne Victory, who, for all intents and purposes, not that really that good. Sydney FC, they're on par, almost. I'd say they're probably just a little bit better than our Perth Glory, who are total arse at the moment. Um, the one side I see him giving a decent struggle would probably be in
Wellington.
yeah, Wellington.
That's only because of the sheep thing, but
Yeah, but they've been top of the league or the A League
mm,
for the last 2 seasons. So since their first inception into the A League, because they never were in the A League, like it was just solely Australia, and we didn't give a fuck what the Kiwis did. They could just go off and do whatever they wanted. But we decided to expand the league a bit and bring in the Kiwis, and ever since we did that, they've just been off with the races, winning everything. So
we're
I think
kicking
if
them out
anything,
again.
they're probably going to cause a bit of problem. But I wouldn't honestly, Tommy, I would not be surprised if we see it like a 7 or 8 nil.
Mm.
Like that's how.
Really?
Yeah,
Two,
really.
two Wrexham, two Wrexham. That
Two
is, yeah,
Wrexham,
yep.
two Wrexham. Yeah,
Mm.
it'll be
Yeah.
goal fest.
How hard do you think they're going to go for new players in the summer? What do you think we're up for half a dozen or maybe 4 or 5? What's your
Yeah, it's a tricky one. We were talking before about obviously Fletcher going, and part of the reason for that is um, what I think is he will be wanting to bring in 4 or 5. I would probably say maybe 3 or 4 first team starting players, maybe 2 or 3 fringe players, squad players.
yeah?
That's what I would think. I think we do need a bit of surgery on the squad. Again, it's a strong squad, but it's very well
Mm.
balanced. I think we're missing maybe 1 or 2 bits of genuine, real championship quality, because that's the sort of player that keeps you up, if you like. We are missing a goal scorer at that level. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, the only goal scorer, the only guy I would back to score a significant number of goals in the championship has just left the club, and Stephen Fletcher. But yeah, I think we'll be looking to bring in a guy who can do it goal scoring wise. I see Jay Rodriguez. I mean, maybe the championship will suit him a little bit more than League One. I think maybe it was a bit of a culture shock to him. I don't think he's played League One, certainly not since the start of his career, if at all. I'm not sure about that. But it might be better for Jay Rodriguez to be in the championship. But that said, he's not your guy to get you 15 goals. Which, if you want to avoid relegation, which I am confident. I really don't think we're going to go down. But
But
if you do want to avoid relegation, you need a 15-goal striker for me.
and you don't think Smith is that, or could potentially be that?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, but he's unproven, isn't he? I'd like to see I would like to see someone proven at Championship level. Do you know what? That's an absolute fair point. I think Smith could be that guy. But again, it's very much an unknown quality. We've seen it with Mullin. Mullin's never proved himself at League One level. And he had a stinker of a season, didn't he? You know, we all love him, and you know he's a legend for what he's done at the club. But he did not play well last year, Mullin. And you know it is tough to go up to a standard that you've never done well at or never played at. It's going to be interesting. Some players take to it straight away, some don't. I agree with you though. I think he is your guy. If you're looking at the squad now, Smith's your guy, isn't he? He's your guy that you're hanging your hat on to get the goals that you need. But again, you know, you might find 5, 6, 7 games into the season and, you know, he struggled with a step up. What do you do then? So I would think Parky would be looking to bring in a proven guy at that level.
Oh, I would hope so too. I would hope another attacking midfielder or an attacking midfielder would be nice. Let alone another just
I was talking the other day to someone about George Evans. So we were talking about George Evans, who was fantastic in League Two and didn't get a look in last year. So, you know, the guys go up a level and, you know, well, he didn't really get a chance in all fairness, but, you know, as we go up, you will find that, you know, a lot of fan favourites will have to leave and, you know, it's just the nature of it, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a certain couple in the back line who won't be leaving, no? Or even 3. Arthur, Max and Brunt. I would have thought they're the back 3 for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, good point. I mean, try replacing them.
I think Arthur was the signing. Arthur's probably it slips under the radar sometimes because you know, because he's a goalkeeper, I suppose. But I think Arthur's been one of the most important signings purely because everyone could see his quality from day one. And I know he had a shaky time when he came back into the year, but after you know a shaky few games and Howard came in for a bit, as soon as he came back in the side, and that's good management, by the way, as well. People underestimate Parky on that as well. You know, he took him out the firing line. He came back in. The reason why I think he's been one of the most important signings is he's a young lad with a high ceiling. And, you know, I personally think Okonkwo, one way or another, will play Premier League football one day. I think he's that good. I really, really do. And he's still very young for a keeper. Mm-hmm. So you're right. And Max Cleworth, honest to God, he's just sensational, isn't he? I call him the Welsh Maldini. He's not Welsh. But in my head, he's Welsh. I just want him to be Welsh. So I refuse to accept he's English. but yeah, I think Cleworth, I'm really excited to see what he can do at Championship level because for me, he's just a class act. He's unbelievable, isn't he?
And another pre-season in the gym as well. He built up so much between League 2 and League 1. He became a man rather than a young man. He filled into his body, and you just think, right, one more year of that and another year of you've had that confidence knowing that you belong at this level. That he's just gonna. What did he get? 8 goals this year? How many goals did he get this year? 7, 8 goals of some amazing.
Was his first goal? Colchester away. I think his first goal for the club. I think was Colchester away last year, and it's almost like he scored that goal and thought, right, okay, I'm going to be a prolific scorer now. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to score more now. And since then, he's almost as prolific as Aaron Hayden was. You know, when he came into the side. So, you know, honestly, maybe I'm getting carried away, which you know I do a lot. But I don't see any weaknesses in his game. I really don't. People talk about this and that. I think he's an all-round defender, a modern defender, I would say. Yeah. But when I say a modern defender, he's still got the attributes an old school sort of centre half would have. He's like you say, his strength now is unbelievable. Yeah, I think he's him and Okonkwo. They've got such a high ceiling, and you know I'd love to see them play Premier League football with us. But I do think one way or another they'll both play Premier League.
Yeah, in the 26-27 season for Wrexham. You heard it here first.
I think Tommy's selling him off on summer, aren't you? Aren't you selling off? You heard it here. He says, Parky, you got to sell Max. You got to Max and Arthur for what, 15 mil for the pair?
Yeah,
20 mil the pair?
I don't know. I tell you what, you've got a lot of strengths, pal, but reading between the lines is not one of them. That's not.
What would it take to get them out of the club? 25 mil, 30 mil?
Oof.
Because you've got to replace them, and you've got to replace the goodwill. But you know, if we sold them, you'd have to replace them, and you'd want to be paid for their potential.
Do you know what? I apologise. I just laughed to myself then because I was like, Christ, we used to have to pay people to take players away from us. Now we're talking about 25 million. But no, do you know what? You hear that figure, and as a Wrexham fan, you just laugh to yourself, you giggle. But let's be realistic about it. It would have to be a ridiculous figure. And, you know, this day and age, last game of the season, Lincoln away, we were coming back on the bus, and, you know, a mate of mine we were talking about Johnny Evans was rumoured to come to Wrexham. And, you know, he was talking and saying, you know, the thing is, we'd probably pay him 40 grand. And I just laughed my head off and said, 40 grand a week? I was like, don't be so ridiculous. And then I thought about it, and I thought, that's just my old school Wrexham mentality. That's actually not far off the mark, what we're talking about now, the level where we're at financially. And again, I've just done it with you there. But when you actually sit down and think about it, you're not letting Max Cloworth go for £10 million.
No.
You want more than that because, you know, let's be honest on it. You know, I don't want to sound too sort of arrogant about where we're at, but money isn't really of that much use to us.
No.
The players are far more use than the money is. You know, everyone's got a price, but maybe it's not that ridiculous a figure, 20 million. So I just have to laugh when Wrexham players going for 20 million is hilarious to me. So, you know, but that's where we're at.
I struggle, and one of the probably biggest thing I struggle is when it comes to the players is, like we look at the team as it is right now, and you know you got your McLean, you got Ollie Rathbone, you've got George Dobson, Sam Smith, Jay Rodriguez. Your back line, you got Max Cloworth, Dan Scarr, Lewis Brunt, and then you know you got Matty James as well, basically conducting everything. And that team that is put out there is so strong that every single season I find myself asking who's gonna get replaced? How can we make this team any stronger? And I think that's the position I'm finding myself in again. Is like how the hell are we going to make this team stronger? Because to me, they're already a brilliant team. They're already a good team, and to have to move players aside to bring in someone better, it's like who's better? Like it just doesn't compute in my head, but it'll get there once we start seeing them come in. We'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
The quality of the ones coming in will be what shows, won't it? You know, you've got to be better than James McLean to replace him. You're going to have to be better than Matty James to replace him. Yeah.
And this is it. And you always, you know, you guys will be the same as me. You always back the guys currently at the club because they've become fan favourites for a reason, getting promotions, and you warm to them, and you start to love them, don't you? You know, we were talking before about Fletcher and talking about shedding a tear. But it is true, you get really attached to these guys when they bring you so much success. But what I would say is, Parky, this is why Parky is such a good manager, in my opinion. He treads just the right line between, he doesn't get sort of not over familiar, but they become too pally with certain players. And Parky's not afraid to upset players, and he's not afraid to go, if he thinks it's in the interest of the team or the club. Sorry, James McLean, for example, you've been brilliant for us, but we've got another guy who is even better. So, you know, thank you so much for everything, but we've got to move forward. You know, that's football, and Parky's fantastic at that. You know, he's warm with the players. You can tell the players love him and respect him, but he never gets too close. I always notice one thing. When we get promotion, our annual promotion party, we'll call it, when they go out to town, Parky keeps his distance. And I think that's a really, really good thing. But you are right, though. You do start to think, well, who's better than him? Who's better than him? But there's always someone better out there, and you know,
younger.
that's going to be the battle, though.
Yeah.
The good thing we've got is, I think the teams will really, really fancy coming to Wrexham, regardless of the money on offer. I think, you know, I absolutely hate the term project, but I'm going to use it in this instance. It is a project that people will look and go, they go in one direction, they go in one way, they're not going down. Well, let's hope not. Famous last words, but
Well, they're coming down under.
I think players are attracted by that. Money is a massive factor, and players are attracted by that as well.
But it's your workplace. And if it's a fun workplace to be at, because you're there, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, you know, you don't want to be drudging, you know, and on your way to work all the time. So if you actually enjoy going to work, that's a major bonus. Major.
Yeah, makes a big difference. And that's the unquantifiable thing that not a lot of people really take into mind when they're talking about Wrexham. It's all about the money, all about the players coming in, and not the quantifiable thing that it's that team that it's just And you're right, they are going one direction. I don't think they're going to come back down. They'll whether they spend one season in the championship or 2 seasons or 3 seasons in the championship, every single season you'll see them slowly getting better and better. But I don't think that'll happen. I think the boys are going to push on. They're going to go for it.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and say, "Oh, boys, just sit pretty in this league. We need to catch up with the club resources and shit." Nah.
Wait until we build the stand and
wait until we build the stand, all that sort of stuff. Nah, it's not going to happen. They're going to want to push on, and then deal with it as it comes.
I think we'll be getting 1-star import on each line. So a new centre back, a new mid, maybe new defensive and attacking mid. I can see a McLean upgrade and a new forward. And I think that because there's a lot of good players around them, you know, Barney and Longman on the wings have got so much to show in the championship. I think same with McLean too, but yeah, and we've got the back line settled. But one more star because I think O'Connell might be done, and Scar stay, or would you go the other way, or would you keep them both and not worry about a new centre back or centre half?
Yeah, I just what you said before. You talk about the spine, don't you? You look at the spine first and foremost, and you know you get an upgrade. You know your defence, midfield, and attack, and you know all of a sudden you've strengthened significantly. Then, haven't you? I think, I don't know. I really like Scar. I really like Brunt. Obviously, Cloweth. I agree with you. O'Connell has been fantastic for us, but there were signs last year. There were signs that he's not. I don't think he's sharp enough for the championship. I think, you know, that extra split second that you get in League One compared to the championship, I think he may struggle. I'd love him to prove me wrong. I'd love everyone to step up. That'd be fantastic if we don't need any signings, but you got to be realistic. It's for me. I think when you go up, it's that sharpness, you know, and like little bits when players dilly dally on the ball. You know, in League One, you can get away with it. Championship, these guys are on you, and all of a sudden you're 3-0 down because your players have made mistakes. And it's going to be really tough. And just on a slightly different point, I think for the first time since the takeover, we might have to accept that there will be a couple of games where we might get an absolute hiding this year. You know, and that won't mean we're not good enough for the level, but it's going to be and it's going to be interesting to see how the fans react to that. You know, I remember us losing 4-0 at home to Telford United in non-league. So, you know what I mean? I'm used to hidings. But we've got a fan base now who are not used to, you know, you see some of the over-the-top reactions to losing 1-0 away from home in League One. And, you know, it's going to be interesting if we say go to somewhere like Norwich on a Tuesday night and lose 4-0. The reaction's going to be interesting, I think.
Yeah. And you want to know what, Tommy? I think Chester is a well and truly thing of the past because that gap now is not a gap. It's a fucking chasm. I don't even think they would get us in the FA Cup.
Yeah. I think apparently the gap between Wrexham and Chester now, you know, like the Grand Canyon in America, they get a plane to fly over. They should do that now. The gap is that wide now.
Maybe Evel Knievel can jump the
gap.
Chester.
maybe we'll get some. Yeah. Do you know what? We should get Wayne from the turf to do it on a motorbike. Okay, that'd be quite good.
No, get
but
him
no,
to do it on a little kid's one, a little pink kid's push bike.
With the streamers still coming out the handlebars.
Oh dear. Well,
I think that I was brought up on the Wrexham Chester rivalry, but just think it's hilarious. I would love to play them one last time in an FA Cup game, and just beat them like 12-0. And it'd be unbelievable.
well, that's the
The
thing,
Wrexham
like,
don't enter until the third round now.
Yeah,
Like they'd actually have to win a few matches to get that high up before we even get.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's the crazy thing, right? Because when you look at, literally 2 seasons ago, we were hoping for a big team, a championship team or a Premier League team in the third round. Like we were just like, want a big team, want a big team. Now we're that team. Like these teams that come through the early stages of the FA Cup, we are now that team that they want.
It's happened so quickly, but do you know what? You will start to hear, like I was saying with the trophy before, you will start to hear like comments, and it'll be a pinch yourself moment where people might even start to say, and this would be ridiculous, by the way, but you might even hear the odd person say, "Oh, we could do with going out the FA Cup, really." And it's like, that's where we'll be at, because you'll have people like sort of, and you might even draw a big team like Southampton in the third round, and people will go, "Oh, that's a rubbish draw." It's changed so much. But yeah, how quickly it's gone from let's get through a few rounds and get a big draw in the third round to, I mean, we go in the third round. We can play a Premier League team straight away. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Does that make a big difference to the squad? Because we don't seem to play a lot of reserve matches. Maybe we're going to play more reserve matches because without now the Virtue Trophy, without getting in the FA Cup early, people like Mo Farah won't get a run. There's a lot of players who just won't get that time in their legs. So maybe we need more reserve matches.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think that we will be playing more reserve games, because it's the only way now, isn't it? We're not going to have these. I know some established championship clubs, quite often use their second string in the third round purely to give them some, match action for the fringe players. But I still say where we're at as a club, and I think in terms of, you got to be realistic, and they will be thinking what will make good TV as well. Parky won't be thinking that, of course, but the club, the boardroom will be thinking. The boardroom will be thinking, a good FA Cup run to through a few rounds would be absolutely massive, wouldn't it? Not financially, we don't really think about that now, but just in terms of exposure. But yeah, you are right. I think going back to the squad dilemma, if you like, there are going to be a lot of players who aren't playing any first team football for months on end. So yeah, I think it's more reserve games on the way then.
Then going back to Scar, how well he did. He sat on the bench for 38 matches or something and didn't play a minute, and then came on when O'Connell did his knee and came on it and kept his place.
Yeah, sorry, I was similar with Cloweth a couple of years ago as well. He sort of, Parky likes a settled side, and I think most managers do. But sometimes a player like Scar will come in the side, or Brunt, or there are a lot of these players who've spent a lot of time on the sideline, and they come into the side, and you almost go, how was he not playing every game? How was he on the bench? But the one thing you can say, and it's a positive as well with Parky, is if someone's playing well, you keep the shirt no matter what. And the good thing about we call it the Parky's Plonker test, don't we? That's if you've got some bad apples in the squad, they're going to be knocking on his door saying, "Why aren't I playing?" Blah blah blah, and then it causes a bad atmosphere in training. Of course, every football club will have little minor issues and stuff, but whether they're very good at hiding it, or I would say it's not that. I would say it's the fact that it is a happy camp. Everyone gets along, and yeah, I think it's incredible how you have these players who are quality players, happy to sit on the bench for the majority of the season and just come along when needed. Yeah, it's brilliant though. That's again credits to Parky though. What he's done keeping a harmonious squad. Unbelievable.
Do you think people there's like a fan group or contingency of people out there that everything's going so well with inside of Wrexham that they almost look for drama? They want to create some sort of drama, like because you hear I've heard stories of, run-ins with Paul Mullen's dad and Parky, for fuck's sake, and
Yeah,
all these other like little random stories that seem to be popping up about, there's a disagreement between Ollie Palmer and Parky, and apparently someone threw a chair or some bullshit. It almost feels it's like these people are looking for drama where there is none. Like,
yeah.
do you get that same vibe, or am I just stupid?
I always compare it to like a buffet when you start with an empty plate and you put a bit of food as you go along. It's like every time the story passes by one person to another, someone's added a little bit more on top. So it's like next thing, Parky shot Mullins' dad or something like that. It's like,
And Bambi's mum. I saw him shoot Bambi's mum. There's a Disney connection. Right.
but no, listen, these things I've always found it in Wrexham Wrexham as a town, and obviously now with social media and stuff, Wrexham's always been a town where you hear rumours, and the club is so important in Wrexham town that people just talk Wrexham day in, day out. People just talking to each other about Wrexham, and stories change hands, and social media means that, you guys haven't been, I'm guessing, and you can hear it. Someone could say something in the turf in 10 minutes, and you guys would hear about it on Twitter in 20 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? That's how it is now. I think, though, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some tensions there with Mullin. Mullin's a passionate guy, and he wants to play football. He's not going to be happy. You can't expect him to be happy to not play. But at the same time, you think about since Parky's come into the club, how many of these stories have you heard? There hasn't been many. You might hear the odd thing. It's probably based on some truth. There will be tensions there, but yeah, I don't. Again, people just add little bits on, and if Mullin wasn't happy, he'd have put in a transfer request, wouldn't he? And he hasn't. Yeah. So yeah. And Parky said in an interview he wants Mullin at the club next season.
Yeah, he might do
the
well.
Jury's out whether he's good enough for the. But
yeah, he might do well in the Championship. Some people do that. They have a completely shit season, and then they, will go into a different team or a team in a slightly higher league, and all of a sudden they do well again. So Paul Mullin might actually do well. He's got the pedigree for it. I think he
might do well. He might do well having a pre-season. He hasn't had a pre-season for 2 years. So if he actually has a pre-season,
it's an important point. That's a really important point.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, what's the go of the stadium? Have you seen it lately?
Yeah, no, I haven't, to be honest. I did pop my head into the turf the other day, and there's a hell of a lot of builders there paying good double time on the wages there, because it was after 5 and they were still going. So yeah, I don't know. In terms of the top or whatever. It's I just want it. Lads, the only frustrating thing with us being in the Championship now is the fact that we're going to have to do it in a 3-sided ground, and that is literally the only negative about going up. Is everything else is fantastic and positive, but yeah, I'm just desperate for that Kop to be built now.
I bet you one team out there will literally just say, right, we'll give them a 15,000 away allocation because that's more than what they can do at their home ground.
I was going to say, are you a season ticket holder, Tommy? You got a season ticket in the tech end, yeah?
I haven't. Do you know? No. Do you know what I do? We're usually lucky with Men in Blazers. Obviously, have good tie-in with Stoke, so we're all right for tickets. So I get tickets on a match by match. I made the massive. I had a season ticket for quite a few years, and when I worked for the Daily Post, the paper, up until 18 months ago, I had my media pass, and I was getting quite frustrated with having to sell my ticket every match. And some people you might sell it to might say to you, and it happened a few times, "Oh, I can't make it. Sorry, I let you down last minute." And I just got fed up of it, so I just relinquished it. But it was the worst decision I ever made because I'm going to have a real problem whenever
Getting
my
it back.
sort of tie-up with Men in Blaze is finished. I've got a serious problem. I'm never
Mm.
going to get a season ticket again now, probably. So yeah, I've got a problem. But
Well,
it's just a stupid decision. But
it certainly seems easier this
what was
coming
that?
season to go to the away matches. It seems like the away matches are going to be easier to get to than some of the home matches this year.
Yeah, 100%. I think some of them allocations. I think Blackburn. There's a potential for a 7,000 away allocation, which you think there's not two and a half years ago we were playing. I don't think hardly anyone had a ground that could hold 7,000 total. So these allocations now are brilliant, and when we played at Blackburn away in the cup, obviously we didn't perform on the night, but the atmosphere at the start of the game and when we went 1-0 up, 7,000 Wrexham fans, and you know we're going to be playing the likes of Blackburn on an even keel now. We'd be going to those places on a level playing field. Same with Sheffield United. We're not the underdogs anymore. We're going there in the same league. And sometimes when there's two teams with very little between them, something like a 7,000 away following, that's going to be huge for us. It's going to be, they may as well give us the points before kickoff. We're going to absolutely destroy them with 7,000 Wrexham fans there. So, it's going to be amazing.
I reckon. I think we got something real big to look forward to, Tommy. So, and I'm looking forward to coming over in November, catching up with yourself, and having a few pints. And just on that note, just got a quick question for you. So, take the turf and the MySquin and the fat ball out of it. Those are given. Those are going to get visited.
The Seren.
All right. What's one place that your boy
Sorry,
Rouse
mate.
here?
I just want you for a second there.
What's
The
that?
parish. So I'd go with the parish, Vault 33, Scythe Seren. Yeah, there's yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, obviously, I was in the parish the other night. Funny enough, Sight Seren's a good
Monk.
one. The Welsh language pub. It's great what those guys are doing there. I don't get there enough, to be honest. Drunk Monk, because my good friend Gary Davis, he's a real ale fan, so he loves the Drunk Monk. I'd Vault 33 is a cracker parish. Horse and jockey.
Oh.
I don't
Just
really
duck.
go in there that often. I don't know why.
You're too tall. What are you, 6 foot? You're 6 foot, are you?
I was 6 foot. I had hair like Ivan Drago up there, but yeah, they took it off like that.
I'm talking about where like there's got to be a place that's proper dirty, like just straight up, like where like you would fear for your life. Like that's the place that I want to go to.
Yeah.
Is there any place like
100%.
that, or is it just Chester?
Do you like a few late? If you like staying out quite late, go to the Penny Black. That is a real gunslingers haunt. That one, like it's absolute. Just the pits of society will be in there at like 3 in the morning. It's just, but I like the not on that scale, but another good pub is the Fusiliers. Honestly though, mate, like Wrexham, it's just full of fantastic pubs. If you go a bit further out of town, the Four Dogs and the Acton, good boozers as well. And you'll walk in there. The great thing for you as well is you'll walk in there, and I guarantee you won't have met these people in person, but you'll go, oh, that's such and such, oh, that's such and such, and you'll know so many people without having ever met them before. And that's
dogs in
why
pubs. Dogs in pubs. Fucking huge over there. We don't do dogs in pubs, but they do dogs in pubs. Dogs sitting at bar, dogs in pubs. Yep.
I mean, I've got a lot of time for dogs in pubs. And, not in Wrexham, but in my local just a couple of weeks ago. They had to ban one of the dogs because he had a flatulence problem.
So was the owner blaming the dog at that, or was it actually the dog?
Oh, that would have been hilarious. Too many peanuts.
Yeah, it's one too many Madries, I think. Old chef. But yeah, dogs and pubs. I suppose it's nothing I really thought of. Happens more in the country. You don't see it so much in Wrexham Town Centre anymore. But no,
not
honestly,
the turf,
it's a great booth. Another one I shout out. I asked you for a second before, but I don't know if you shouted Hill Street Socials, a cracking boozer. You'll love all the memorabilia and everything. It's brilliant. So yeah, give that one a try as well.
Well, I wondered, isn't that the place that does the chip buddies?
on a Friday night. Yep.
Yeah, Chris Putty's, yeah, exactly. Friday evening, yeah, you've got to give it a go. It's a game changer.
I hate to tell you, Tommy, my Coventry lad.
You'll be taking the missus for a three-course meal in Hillston Social.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, Tommy, my Coventry lad comes out of me when that, and I have to really think because I just want to refer to it as a batch, not a butty. So, yeah, remember that one.
That's a big thing. Like you can travel in the UK, you can travel 10 miles, and people have two different words for bap or butty.
Roll. It's still a bloody roll.
Yeah, I mean, but roll's pretty consistent everywhere. But like in Lancashire, like places like Wigan and Preston, they call it a balm cake. I was like, on what planet is this a cake? You know what I mean? Honest to God.
I think so. I mean, like,
idiot.
It's so funny. Like, we would literally just call it a chip sanger. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a chip sanger. Short for sandwich, but it's Aussified, so it's a sanger. So that's what we call it.
Yeah.
Just don't get us started on potato cakes. Is it a potato scallop or is it potato cake? What is it? That's one of our big Australian state differences.
Is there? I was going to say, is there big cultural differences between obviously Perth and because it's so far? There's got to be massive differences culturally.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you see a lot of it. Like your North Queenslanders they're very I mean, they're sort of like that's bush culture. And then you're
and the Cougars and the things.
Yeah. So your Melbourneites
whenever I hear
quite posh, hipster. That's
coffee.
You think Melbourne, you think that your mob that like to protest. Like that's Melbourne. You can't go a day in Melbourne without seeing a protest.
Coming from Melbourne, we also have the best restaurants, and it is the sporting capital of the world.
Well,
so I'm a Melbourneite, so sporting capital of the world, and the best food, and we've got a shitload of beer. So
and a lot of protests.
And a lot of protests. So yeah, what more do you want?
Is there Victoria beers from Melbourne, isn't it?
Yeah, Vic Bitter. Yep. Yeah.
Why would you do that though?
I was going to say. When you mentioned North Queensland, then it gave me a little smile because it reminded me of that Bob when he's talking about like gays and stuff, and he goes, "But I won't spend any time on it because in North Queensland, someone's getting eaten by a crocodile." It was like you're talking about gay rights, Bob.
Yeah. Well, I live way down. I live just north of Hobart, so way down the bottom of Tasmania, and my wife comes from Cooktown, so way up. Far North Queensland, F and Q, it's called. They call it, and there's not much more effing than Cooktown.
I was going to say she must be constantly freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Perth is just its whole other country. Yeah. Perth is just it's like we get a lot of UK immigrants here in Perth. We're just it's like we're our own different country because we're very we are the mining side of Australia, so we've got all the big mines. We're a lot of fly in, fly out workers.
No coal, except for coal, because of course that's in Victoria as well, and Queensland. But yeah, they got the iron ore. They got that.
So. Yeah. So Western Australia, Perth people. That's very much
But it's a 2-day drive to get from Perth to the rest of the universe. It's a 2-day drive through a straight road of desert that you just drive non-stop. It's 5,000 kilometers or something. It's huge.
Yeah.
So to actually go there, you don't go there on a weekend trip. Even in a plane, it's a full-on escapade.
I was going to say, I listening to you two there. I feel like I'm in the middle, like Biggie and Tupac, East Coast, West Coast rivalry.
But we
so
both love
what
Wrexham. We both love Tommy. There you go. So,
what he's saying there is he's on the Great Australia Bite.
yeah. And
Right in the
we
middle.
both hate Adelaide. Adelaide's a shithole right in the middle between the two of us. So yeah.
Yeah.
So-
But, I mean, yeah, Adelaide is a shithole.
And you can't drink the water, so don't go there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want to go
Good,
there.
good,
Adelaide's like the
good evening to
Chester.
all our fans in Adelaide.
Yeah. Sorry,
they
guys
know
from
they can't drink
Adelaide,
the water.
but you are the Chester of Australia, and I will back that up.
Oh, I gotta say, apart from the people, that Chester High Street, I mean, there's some beautiful buildings in Chester. Had a lovely little afternoon there on the way back. But yeah,
No,
there are
there isn't.
Chesterites.
They're all shitholes. It's a horrible place. Don't you come at me with beautiful buildings. Fucking horrible.
And there is that. Yeah. Well,
All right. Well, look, I think we're going to wrap things up here. It's been a hell of an entertaining one. This one, Tommy, mate. Glad to call you a friend, and I'm so happy that you were able to come on. And I can't thank you enough for your time. So just take take some time, give yourself a quick plug, the Men in Blazers and all that. Where can people find you? Yeah, give yourself a quick plug before we say goodbye.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you so much for having me on it. It's been a proper laugh. I've really enjoyed it. I had a hangover from last night, so that's gone now. Thanks to the laughing. So I'll probably have a delayed one now after laughing so much. So thanks for that, lads. No, it's been lovely. Thanks for having me on, guys. And yeah, next season we're hoping to go again with Men in Blazers. We last year it was absolutely fantastic once again. And I'd like to think we've been improving the output and stuff like that. Every week we're learning something new, we're doing something different, and we've had great feedback. It's been absolutely amazing. I've never done everything I've ever done in my life. I've usually had a lot of criticism for, most of it quite rightly deserved. But with this Men in Blazers this week in Wrexham, genuinely, my big hope was that people in America, Australia, South Africa, Asia, wherever, they could enjoy it as much as the next person. And the best thing for me has been the feedback in terms of people from Wrexham, America, and all these places. Everyone seems to enjoy it, and I'm really pleased with that. Obviously, you can't cater for everyone, but yeah, we're hoping to go again next year. And yeah, it's going to be amazing, lads, isn't it? These big clubs in the Championship going there and broadcasting, and it's just going to be incredible. My only problem though, and I've still one thing I haven't been able to learn how to do is not get too nervous before games and accidentally sink 5 pints and overcompensate for the nerves. Hopefully I can work on that for next year. But yeah, keep your eyes out. Anyone watching who's interested to watch, we're on YouTube, and just put in Men in Blazers Wrexham, and yeah, have a look and smash that like button.
Like, share, subscribe the absolute shit out of it. That's what I like to say. All right. Well, thank you, Tommy, guys. We will be back after this short break just to wrap things up. And so be sure to stay tuned. Might have some news for you. Let's go. Oh, yeah, nah, this is Rouseys Wrexham Round-Up. She'll be right, mate. Well, that was Tomi Caws, the legend that is Tomi Caws. I love him. He's just awesome. And Simon, that was a great first episode for you to be part of, man.
Oh, how do we top that next week? Where do we go from now?
I don't know. I'll have to figure out something. But I love Tommy. I look forward to catching up with him. And guys, thank you for listening to us waffle on for the last hour or so, like just literally talking shit. That's what this podcast is. We just come together and we talk shit, and we love Wrexham. So we do have a fan program, an exclusive fan program. If you want to be part of that, links will be in the description down below. It's a 3-tier program. Quick shout out to our executive producers who really do keep this show alive. Mad Owl, Not PC, Bryant, Welsh Techie, Sarah, and Anthony for being executive producers. We love ya. And everyone else, Drew, Ben, Vincent, Ryan, Neb, Mark, Deandra, Anthony, John, Jake, the Wrexham Texan, Will, Aaron, and Josh from the local pundit. We thank you for being part of the Patreon program, and there's plenty to come. So we do give back. So you want the more details, it's down below. I'm not going to go into it too much, but yeah, man, Simon,
It's fun.
that was fun, wasn't it? It was good. Let us know how did Simon do? Do we like him? Do we want to keep him? I think we do.
Vote now, vote early, vote often.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on Rouseys Wrexham Roundup. Bye.